Family Engagement District Committee meetings. I do want to just at this time say how grateful that I am and our team for your participation this year in this great work. And it is such a needed work. I just want to comment on the quotes. Ron does a great job putting these quotes up. It's not hard to make decisions once you know what your values are. And I just think that speaks volumes across the board, across your own personal life, but definitely as we continue this work and identify our true values and our true commitment to our families, those values will decide our decision-making, our decisions and for the benefit of our families and students. So that was my love for that particular quote. So we have a real busy agenda today, but we're going to start out. Next slide. We want to start out and giving Ms. Stephanie Cox, the Vice President of the Education Committee, an opportunity, I want to say a PTA, the opportunity to come correct my errors, but introduce herself. So Mrs. Cox, could you please introduce yourself?
She dropped for a second. I don't know. She was on her iPhone and now she's not in the list. So, oh, she's
okay.
rejoining. She's rejoining. So,
okay, so we can give her a second.
I think she's in now.
Okay, so thank you for rejoining, Ms. Cox. We were just asking you to introduce yourself to the committee. If you have the ability to unmute and introduce yourself.
All right, well, we'll let her. She can mention in the chat if she's able to, unmute and get some audio. It looks like she's connected to video, but not audio right now. So anyway, welcome, Stephanie.
Okay, so today we have a very busy agenda. We're going to update you on reading recovery and the reading recovery training that's coming up, the policy revisions and the education, family education plan. We're going to talk about the vision, the mission, the core values, and key performance indicators, because it's so important for that accountability. And so this time I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Kane.
Thanks, Dr. Brim. So we've been back and forth with reading recovery and trying to keep you guys updated and touching base with the teacher leaders and Holly Slaughter in elementary language arts. And we had some, I guess, great news, I would say. Our last meeting with one of the teacher leaders was very exciting and productive. And she has actually given us the go-ahead. We're moving faster than we thought. First we were moving fast, then we pulled back, and now we're revving up again. So the idea is that we're going to provide some training to the teacher leaders and the school-based reading recovery teachers. It's scheduled right now for June 8th. It's going to be more of a foundational family engagement training, just getting everybody on board with what do we mean when we say family engagement? What are the kinds of strategies we're talking about? How do we interact with families, build relationships? And then we're going to make it a pre-planning session. I know we've talked about the next step would be to have a planning session with the school-based reading recovery teachers so that they would be, planning their family activity, which, now is going to happen in the fall. The teacher leader, Marissa, who was in our meeting and gave us the go-ahead, she thought, and we agreed, that it might be useful to kind of plant some seeds in terms of the planning of the event. So not run right into planning it real quick and then holding off to not have it till the fall, but just plant some seeds about what would this mean? What would we be thinking about? So that over the summer, the teachers could have an idea and kind of, let it simmer and come up with some reactions and some input, and that would make the actual planning session more productive. But we were very excited to be getting that initial training in before the end of this school year. And then the school-based teachers do not work over the summer. So of course, our office will be doing some other things and working with the Ladders to Literacy initiative and still touching base with hopefully some of the reading recovery families in terms of what we offer for family engagement and family capacity building, more on a district level. But then we'd be ready to just kind of take off when the school year begins in August. So that's the update I have. Dr. Brim, do you have any input to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't. I think that's a great update.
Great. Okay. So we'll be in touch with those of you who have offered to, now that we're going to be actually planning a session before the end of this school year, those of you who have offered to participate or have input to that, we will be looping back to you because we will need you. So more to come. Thank you. Dr. Brim, we do have two guests that I see I've admitted, so we might want to go back and let them introduce themselves.
Okay, thank you. We have two new this morning. If Stephanie Cox would like to introduce herself, I will start out with Stephanie.
No, it's not Stephanie. It's two other guests.
Oh, go ahead and since you see the names, go ahead and announce the names so they can.
Okay, sorry. So Alicia Ford and Mr. Black have joined us at the invitation of Angela Carpenter from PEMS. So we welcome them. Why don't we start with Mr. Black, if you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, how y'all doing? Dale Black. I'm from Lakewood Elementary School. I'm glad to be here today.
Welcome, Mr. Black.
And Ms. Ford?
Hi, I'm Alicia Ford. I'm the school social worker here at Lakewood Elementary.
Great, we're glad to have you. We're presume Angela gave you a little background so you know what you're getting into. We promise we won't assign you anything this first meeting. Well, I don't know about that, but we'll try. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to your participation. And I think we're moving over to you, Ron.
Great. Well, welcome, Mr. Black, Ms. Ford, to our meeting today. My name is Ron. I'm a consultant, and I've been working with Dr. Brim and Ms. Kane for quite a while on how we can help schools and families partner in ways that support student learning. And one of the things that, in addition to this specific reading recovery project that Sheila just talked about, we're looking at the district's policy on family engagement and beginning the process of thinking through how it can be improved. Before we get into that, I apologize. Dr. Brim, I skipped you. So I need to go back to you, Dr. Brim, on your organizational leadership standards.
That was me, sorry.
No problem. I want to just talk to you briefly about the organizational leadership and the standards. One of the things that as we brainstormed and really look at other districts across the state, one of the things that was key was that there were standards that were established by the school board. Then there were standards that were created as it relates to family engagement by the executive leadership team, some of our area superintendents, and then those standards set the stage for as we trickle down into our schools and our school leaders. So we are meeting with our board members to be able to say, what is a standard that you want to permeate across our district as the Pinellas County School? Here is our standard as it relates to family engagement. And then we'll take that standard and move to the executive leadership, which includes our superintendent, our deputy superintendent, all of our superintendents, associate superintendents, And so when our school leaders see that this is the standard that they're putting in place, it will then put more leverage and more power that we are a unified agency that believe in the same things and working toward that end. And so we're excited about the standards, and those standards then can also help support as we continue to develop our policy and our practices and our procedures. So kind of stay tuned to that we'll come back with some of the ideas that we're getting from our board members. But I just think that is a huge piece that needs to be implemented in our work. Thank you, Ron and Sheila.
Thank you, Dr. Brim. So that does set the stage for it's all of this discussion at the district level. How can Pinellas really have this laser focus on what homeschool partnerships look like, how they can be even more effective at supporting student learning? And one of the things, so I'm talking to Mr. Black and Ms. Ford, just to kind of give you a little update. In the last couple meetings, we've been talking about the district's vision for partnerships with families. And that's all in the first steps of looking at the policy. So in preparation for the meeting today, Ms. Kane sent out this document. I don't know, Ms. Kane, were you able to send it to Mr. Black and Ms. Ford? Did they get that also?
I didn't, but I can right now.
I sent it to them.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you, Angela. So
You're
this is the start. We actually have worked on the mission. We had a mission statement, then we worked on editing it twice a vision statement, worked on editing twice. And we have our final vision statement, which is going to allow us to keep going in this process. So as you can see on the screen here, this is our vetted vision statement. And the vision is describing where we're going to end up, what it's going to look like when we get there. You know, your kids are in the car and they say, are we there yet? This is what it looks like when we're there. And you can all read this. It's Pinellas County Schools is a place where rich partnerships among educators, families, and community members promote 100% student success. And as you all know, that 100% student success is right out of the district plan. So this is in ink now. We've got this piece. We've described where we're going to end up. And today we want to talk about 3 additional parts of a strategic plan. We want to talk about the mission statement, our core values, and key performance measures, which is why those quotes were intentionally put on the front and why Dr. Brim talked in particular about core values. Today's a brainstorming session. So while Sheila didn't say she'd give you assignments, we hope that you'll join us in this conversation to start brainstorming ideas around mission, core values, and performance measures. So what Dr. Brim and Sheila and I did earlier this week is we looked at the district's mission statement and we adapted it to focus on the family piece. And so what we came up with to align with the district's mission statement is to say that the mission of family engagement throughout the district is to ensure that every family knows how to support their child's education and how to help their child prepare for college, career, and life. So if you hold it up to the district's mission statement, you'll see we focused on the district. Everybody's doing this. The purpose of this effort is really to have a laser focus on families and how we help them support their child's learning and have their child be prepared to be a productive adult. So the first thing I want to throw out is, how do you feel about this adaptation? Does this seem like a good way to craft a mission statement for these homeschool partnerships? Connie gave thumbs up. I saw that. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. What do you think, Miss Lucy? Does it make sense? Does it tell you, as we think about mission statement, it's going to tell us what we're going to do in a broad sense to get to that vision. And we're going to make sure families know how to do this. So what do you think, Miss Lucy? She's quiet. There we go.
So the mission is to ensure every family knows how to support their child education and how to help their child prepare for college, career, and life.
Right.
It doesn't, does it say somewhere how, or is that what we're working on?
So that, well, the how is in the broad sense that we will make sure families know what to do. The district's mission statement says that the district will ensure that we support kids' education and prepare kids, and it's everybody. And we just honed in on what we're going to make sure is that families know what to do. And the last piece today, we're going to talk about core values and performance measures. We're going to get into the very specific strategies and goals as this whole conversation progresses. We won't get there today, but we will define what exactly everybody will do to make sure families know how to do it. So I'm sensing from that look in your eyes, it's like, yeah, maybe it's a little too vague. Yeah.
I guess it's just, we're just getting started, so.
And if I could just chime in on this particular statement, one of the things that we always try to do is streamline our engagement efforts to ensure that it's linking to learning and the families understand and have the capacity to support. So when you say support their child's education, and then the ultimate goal and outcome is they are prepared when they leave our system with this whole idea of engagement, prepare for the college career and life. So when you have those two, you have a front end and you have an end goal. And so I think that's what I like about this mission statement. Those are my comments.
The mission, the district's mission statement is educate and prepare each student for college, career, and life. That's the statement. So our twist on that was ensure families know how to do that piece. I can't see other faces. I see Mr. Black is nodding his head. What do you think about that mission? I mean, you're new to the whole process. Does that, I mean, if you're a parent in the district and you read this, does this give you an idea that you have a role in your child's learning and that we're going to help you do that?
Most definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, we have, and I just had that conversation today with the principal. We were just talking about this today, that we got to have the parents involved if our kid's going to be successful. And right now, I think that's the missing piece for a lot of our kids being successful. Is the parents they have to do their part, either support us or to reemphasize what we're trying to do, what our mission is.
We could not agree with you more. And that's really when we get to those goals and objectives, where we very specifically talk about what we at the district level can do to ensure families know how to support. We encourage them, teach them, show them. I think, great, thank you. Any other thoughts about this? Yes, Miss Amy.
So I like that it, from my Title I lens, because I know we really do focus on college and career readiness, and it is a component of our family engagement. So I think that often 2 times it falls onto the high schools to really take this on, but it really does need to begin in the elementary level and to really call it out for all families to see, you know, starting day 1, this is our goal. So
Great.
I do like it.
Natasha, you just turned your camera on. Is that in preparation for sharing with us?
It is. I have a wondering, and it is something that typically with English learner families we deal with, but I have a feeling that many other families have the same need, and that is the understanding and navigating the educational system, because it has become way too complex, even for native English speaking American families, let alone for families who come from a completely different educational system. And I feel that that is a prerequisite to families knowing how to support their children. So a part of our job in the EL department is educating parents on the complexities of the educational system. And once that prerequisite is met, and that's ongoing work, I feel only then the families will know how to support their child's education.
I love that. I love that suggestion. And I think you're right. If it's kind of like special ed, what works for kids in special ed works for all kids, but what families, EL families need, probably all families need. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm wondering, so I like your wondering, and as I made the note here, I'm thinking when we get to our goals and objectives, that's probably maybe that ought to be the very first goal. So to get to this, to achieve this mission, first we've got to help families understand how the system works and how to navigate it and how to advocate. I see you nodding. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of
Yes.
sense, and my emphasis is that is an ongoing process as
Yeah.
the system is evolving on an ongoing basis, getting more complex every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something that has to be sometimes we get into a rut of providing the same information to the families without paying attention to what new developments have occurred, and making sure that we're always current and relevant and providing what is relevant to the moment that's going and what's going on in the district, and also what's going on in the family's life, and kind of making that connection
Right.
in the moment.
Thank you so much. Ms. Ford, I saw you had your hand up.
I can't find a little button to raise my hand.
That's okay.
I'm just wondering, my wondering is there a way to put something in the mission statement about partnering with families? Like is our ultimate mission to create partnerships with families which ensure these things? Like, because it is really relevant to family engagement, what is how does our mission say that we're engaging families, or do we need to at all?
I think it's a good question. I think if you look up at the vision statement, that's where we talk about when we're there, this is all done through partnership. The mission statement does not mention partnership directly. It doesn't say that in the actual district mission statement. That doesn't mean we can't enhance our submission statement to include that. So what we do, just so you know, what we do is we take some notes from all of this, and then we'll get together, we'll craft some thoughts, and we'll send it out to folks and say, we tried to incorporate your comments. So I've got the understanding the educational system as potentially a goal, and then we have partnership, or the concept of partnership, possibly in the mission statement. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the mission statement? So this is the one that that Dr. Brim called out, that Roy Disney quote about it's so easy to make decisions when you're clear what your values are. We think that an important piece of this process is to declare what we believe, what our core values are around partnerships with families. So Ms. Ford, this is one place where it ought to be reflected for sure. So these are two statements that we came up with as starters. And then we have a sentence starter for the third one. But what we really hope to do here is to brainstorm and have you guys at least give us concepts that we can create some core value statements around. So we want you to look at these. We want you to reflect on the ones that are here. And we want you to say what other core values must be part of the list.
And I want to connect this discussion back to the district core values that talks about the commitment to families. But we are taking this opportunity to drill down, to really focus on the core values as it relates to connecting to our families in our district. And so, as Ron said, we started out with these three.
And this is where, if you don't have to have a perfect statement, just some key ideas, and we can take those down and we can turn them into narrative. I'm watching everybody.
In the chat, but I was thinking as I was listening just even so far this morning and thinking about all of this again, that something about shared decision making just between families and schools, or families in the district, or I don't know, putting my SAC hat on and wanting SAC to be more, I don't know, the way it was intended, not just a compliance kind of thing. So.
One of the, so I've got that down, shared decision-making. One of the things I will toss out to everybody is Dr. Karen Mapp, who is one of the leading researchers and spokespeople on family engagement. She talks about 4 core beliefs. And I'm wondering if those would help inform the process. The first one says that all families want the best for their children, that there's this belief that we believe that all families want to help and want their child to succeed. That's one statement that we could include. The second statement is, and again, I don't know if these how these resonate with you. The second one is the one that folks struggle with the most, and that is, we believe all families have the capacity to support their child's learning. And making that statement, you may not have the current capacity, but they certainly can learn and can have the future capacity. The third statement is that families and schools are equal partners in the process, and that's kind of getting at that third one we have on here. And the last statement that she suggests is that the responsibility for starting and sustaining these partnerships is primarily the responsibility of the school. Doesn't mean they do all the work, but they have to get it started. They've got to invite the folks in, and they have to nurture it and keep it going. So those are 4 statements that may fit into the core value list. And I'd be curious to know what you think of those, or if you have any other ideas.
Ron, this is Angela. I could sometimes feel like, I mean, we have all these great partnerships within the school, actually, and collaborations going on to provide like wraparound services to families in our T-zone schools. And sometimes I don't feel like all of those pieces are working together very effectively.
Okay.
So that the families are aware that those services are in the school. Because I think sometimes it just being, I guess in it, for lack of better words, it kind of seems like I know the process and what's going on, but whenever I connect with a family, sometimes they say they have no idea that this service is provided at their school, or they don't know how to get to that service. And
okay.
Yeah.
So if we think about it from a value perspective, is the value that we believe, or it's important that we provide that full range of support services to families or connect them to services? How would you state that as a value?
What about, the relationship between families and schools is an integral part of community, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kiosha or Mr. Lee, what are you thinking out there? I'll tell you, I was on a webinar earlier or late last week with Dr. Mapp, and folks weren't talking. So she just started cold calling on everybody, and she's inspired me. So now I'm cold calling on you. What did you all think about those statements that I shared, that families want the best? We believe all families want the best for their children. We believe families have all families have the capacity. I see Connie's nodding her head. Those seem like
well, kind of going back to the bake sale still. I mean, we've been, reading Dr. Mapp's book for a long time and referencing it. And I feel like still we're missing how to be, for lack of better words, transparent, and so that a parent knows, your school has, these are the goals, they want your children to be successful. They're here for you to help them do that. And the school and those tools are accessible to you as a parent.
Okay, I'm making notes here. So I heard transparent. No, I heard transparent. And so that was making me think as I was writing that down, that some value around making sure that we share, that parents understand all necessary information, or I'm trying to think of how to say that transparent piece. Can you maybe talk a little bit more to that? I like that word.
Like, communicate. I don't know. I just keep thinking of like vague, broad terms. So sorry. Like,
no, that's good. I think transparent is a good one.
So Angela, I think what
communication. Sorry.
No, I heard, well, the thing I heard you say that I thought was really powerful, and I want to try and include that in whatever word you're trying to come up with, but yeah, this idea that there's like it's transparent and it's coordinated, you get the message, you get the whole message, you see what's available to you, instead of like, well, you have the school counselor telling you something, you have the assistant principal telling you something, and you have the community, So that idea that there's a coordinated, transparent message. I thought you say that.
That helps, yes.
Miss Nancy, I see your hand is up. I love that you use the little emoji things.
I'm just amazed that I'm like learning this, and then it still takes me a half hour to find it. But I like the one that really rang true for me is that every family has the capacity, because I do believe that most of the parents that I dealt with in trying to get a child to move forward, they felt that they were incapable of doing it.
Right.
That was their biggest fear. I don't know how to be a teacher. I don't know how. And I said, you don't have to be the teacher. I'm the teacher. I can do that.
Yeah.
And they were frightened by the idea. And I said, you can select what you want to read with your child. It doesn't have to be something that you're not comfortable with. Any reading will help your child. You can be in control of all of the ways that you help. And so I do believe that giving them that confidence and the understanding that they do have those abilities, even if they did not complete their education, and so they are feeling somewhat insecure about it. So I do think that's an important, and it's a total belief of mine, that every family can help in some way and can be better and better.
I think I love that. So I've made two notes from that. I've got that we believe, or we have a core value that all families have the capacity, but I also made a note then to put under the goal or objective when we get to that part, that we will build parent confidence. That's an important thing that we do, because if we do that, then they're more likely to take the action. I love that one. Fantastic. Okay. Other thoughts about core beliefs that this is what we're laying out. These are the things that are, we will make decisions with these things in mind.
The last one that we have here, as a kind of a thought provoker, I think fits well with the fourth core belief, where we acknowledge, or maybe it's the third and fourth, but we acknowledge that it's a shared responsibility. But then I think we need to state something like that fourth core belief, where the responsibility begins with, or the initiation of the partnership, or something, that we capture that as a core belief that we permeating our district.
Okay. Great. So what we're going to do, we will take these notes. It's the royal we, that means Miss Sheila will take these notes and she'll craft something, and we'll get it just like we did with the vision statement. We'll come back with this and look for feedback. We've got about 20 minutes left. And one of the things we want to brainstorm then is what are we going to see or hear to know we were successful? What are the key performance indicators? What does the end look like specifically? And I remember, I think it was Dr. Brinson who said in one of our earlier meetings, he just said, every person in this district should complete some sort of training. And I heard Nancy was talking about building family confidence, but just talking with them and giving them tools and helping and teaching. And so these two are our conversation starters. These are the high level things, but that we believe that everybody needs to be trained and participate in something. That's one that we could be on here, but we're talking about all families are getting positive communication with their classroom teacher. The beginning of the year, 80% of families receive tools and resources to support their child at home. What do you think of those? What do you think of the one about all staff will complete training? What are some key measures that would say we've made it? And again, this is just the start of this conversation. There'll be a lot of subsequent conversation, but I'm wondering what comes into your head as a measure that the program, the homeschool partnership effort is successful.
Ron, I want to say something. I saw that Demoris put in the chat, increased engagement. And I want to say, as we look at that whole piece of increasing engagement, that is an ultimate goal, but what does that mean? How does that look? And that's the piece that I want to make sure that engagement is not always looked at in the traditional fashion of people showing up and we're measuring success by attendance. Because I could increase my engagement merely by providing and sitting with my child now doing homework. Those pieces we don't capture, but it's taking place. So if that is one of our performance indicators, we want to be clear about what does engagement look like as we move forward. It's not the traditional piece of I attended an event.
I love that Lucy's camera came on. I didn't know if that was in preparation for giving us an idea.
I think I'm conflicted in the actual viewpoint that I'm hearing. I'm hearing things that are not kind of vibing in my brain. So I just kind of want to get clarity. So is the whole concept that we're asking parents to, and I'm going to just say this crudely, step up and participate, or is the concept that Pinellas County Schools is going to inform the parents about all the opportunities? Since we are gatekeepers to opportunities, we're going to make sure every single one of our families, including those that have been historically marginalized, are aware of all the opportunities this district has to offer each child, so that when they make decisions for their child, they're based on knowledge and not knowing. Because myself as a parent, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know there's a chess club at your school for your child, then your child's not going to the chess club. Or if there is no busing, like in my case, I'm a teacher. I could not have my child attend. He went to a magnet school. I couldn't have him attend anything after school. And there was a million wonderful things to do after school because I had to be in my classroom and there was no busing. So when we talk about family engagement, again, is it the mentality? Because I'm hearing different things and it's not making sense to me. Or is the mentality we're going for like, hey, folks, step up. Here's how you can teach your kid at home. Here's some resources for you to make that child ready for school. Or is it, hey, look what we have to offer, and this is how we're going to help you open those opportunities for your child?
So I think the answer is yes. It is yes. If you think back to the very beginning when we talked, and if you think about the mission statement, we want families to know about all those things. We want families to know how to support their child's learning, which includes getting them into those sorts of things, but also what they can do related to academics. But we want them more than just to know, we want them to take action. So you use the word step up. I would say we want to motivate them to action so that once they're aware of what to connect their child to, once they're aware of what they can do, what else they can do at home to support learning, that they then do those things. And by doing that in partnership with the school, that child's going to be more successful. So I think and I heard somebody say both. I don't know who that was that didn't
Me.
light up.
Angela, sorry. I don't know where my camera is. Maybe I'm still in San Francisco, somewhere in the fog.
But I think it is moving families to action. I mean, we know from the research that if a parent knows what to do but doesn't do it, it's not going to make that difference. So we want to motivate them. We want to help them feel what was Nancy's comment before. We want to help them feel confident that they know how to do it. They know how to access services, but they also know how to ask them about what they're learning and support that learning process. So it is moving families to action.
I would like to interject if I may, because I'm looking at this, how it applies to our ESC parent survey that's put out by the state.
Mhm.
And then also, through professional development towards teachers. And I see it as three components: accountability on the educators of, maybe like a checklist, like I've done this, I've reached out, have the families acknowledge that they receive, because I think that's a missing piece. Now we get the response from the survey that we get the actual surveys, but then the feedback is negative that we didn't give them the resources.
Mhm.
So accountability, acknowledgement, and then the participation, participating like a feedback of, so, okay, you've acknowledged you've received it, and what did you do with that information?
When you say you, are you talking about families, educators, or both?
I'm talking about the accountability beginning with the educators, because that's what our task is. That's why we're here. And then the families to acknowledge that they've received, because for me, that seems to be what was missing, because we're focused so much on response that they reply. So and then it's so that's what I would say. So they acknowledge, and then they give us feedback.
There's some
By again,
accountability for educators around this work. We could get something around that, and then let's see if I understand the family piece. That families, so it is families engage in a conversation around the information.
so if they're receiving it, then the person that's reaching out, which I think is great, because I think of our case managers, the ESC case managers, I often have families say, I don't know who my case manager is for exceptional student education. So if that ESC case manager is absolutely making sure that that connection is happening, not only in the beginning, but as an ongoing basis, the families are acknowledging, yes, that I did receive that. And this is what I did with the information that I received from
So
that
that strikes me, if I think of the words, that families, again, they take action. So we've done something to get them the information in a way they understand, they can say they understand, and they know what to do with that information. So some measure around that families are aware of resources.
Yeah, that acknowledgement, and then that participation, like Dr. Brim was saying, it's like, it's not just them showing up for a training, because we know what that can look like sometimes.
Okay.
So, but it's the other things. Well, we really did. We took your calendar for family engagement on every Friday night. We did an activity.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so we'll have some things around accountability for educators sharing and empowering and giving that confidence, and then families being aware of and using.
Share, connect, and engage.
I like that. Okay. Other
You know,
thoughts?
Ron,
Yes, ma'am.
Ron, I want to go back to Dr. Carrick's earlier comment about understanding and navigating our system. I really would like to see a metric created around how do we know that our families understand? How do we know that they have the skills to navigate? What is the metric to determine that we know they are getting it?
So Dr. Carrick, what would you need to see or hear to say, you know what? we made it? What was something that we could count or look at or listen for?
I can give you an example of what we're currently doing, and we're seeing the results. Is we have a very aggressive campaign on making sure that our parents understand what summer break opportunities and choices they have. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this year's enrollment, knowing what the kind of efforts that we put into our campaign compared to the previous year's enrollment and attendance.
So if I heard that right, if you look at services that are available, that if you look at participation, we would see representation of all groups, not just certain groups, and the
Yes.
that actually take advantage of the service.
Yes, and our metric is student enrollment and attendance, and not parent attendance of workshops.
Exactly. Yeah.
Our outcome is our desired outcome is increased student participation.
Yeah, I think, but you need the families to help get the kids there, get them signed up. And so you'll know you're successful if those kids enroll and come, because all your ways of educating, giving families confidence, all that support pay off when the kid shows up. So I like that. Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Brim, for reminding us of that. We've got about 2 minutes left on this piece. Any other thoughts? And again, we'll start taking these. This is the beginning of the process. We'll get the measures out there. But why these are important is we'll backwards plan to get to those goals and activities. How, for example, as Dr. Carrick just said, what do we need to do to get it so that families, that those kids get in those programs? How do we help families know what to do and take that action? And so having all of these will help us make sure we have the right goals to get where we want to go. Okay, Kiosha, I'm going to call you out. You've been very quiet today, and I know you, so I'm going to say, hey, what are you thinking? If you're there, you may be in the middle of something else. Oh, there she is. Hello, Kiosha.
Here I am. Hi, I'm sorry. I was in the car. I was leaving a school visit, so I apologize when I'm back at my office. I've been listening in to everything, and I'm excited to see the work that is happening. I do feel that, we have to make sure that we are merging a true partnership. And I do like someone suggested earlier, possibly adding that word to the mission or making it one of the goals. So
let me ask you, Kiosha, what's one thing that you would see or hear in the district to say, you know what, we do have partnership? What would you need to see to say that is, like Dr. Carrick just said, we know we're successful with those families if the kids enroll and attend. So do you have something in mind that pops into your head?
Well, I think student achievement increasing overall is another indicator for me.
Got it. Amy, your camera came on. That seems to be the signal for I am ready to talk now, because
it's our social cue on these webinars now.
Because I'm old.
I'm just making that up. I don't know. I think that the importance of perhaps when we have meetings and engagement that families are there, like we still have this great committee, but we yet still don't have a parent talking with us. So it's like, what do they want? What's that two-way communication piece? So that, when we're sitting in a room, it's not us talking to them, and I still feel like we're there. So once we get past, it's really truly the parents and us, I shouldn't say that us, but I think that's would be an indicator for me, because I have a meeting tomorrow, and I have about 15 for 3 sessions for our Title I schools. So I'm just really looking forward to having to hear their input, and that's part of what I'm talking about tomorrow is like high impact family engagement versus just what they see, and to kind of educate them as they plan the parent and family engagement plans, what to look for. Is it, oh, we had a potluck? Well, that's great. That builds relationships, but what's a really high impact?
And at the potluck, I learned how to do blank at home to help my child.
Correct. So we're not throwing that one out.
But I learned about the summer program and how to get my child registered and why it's important.
Or if they're talking data, wow, that would be so cool. I went to this conference and I learned, that my child needs to be here. So I'm going to be a bad facilitator. I'm going to call out Mr. Black
as my final contributor today. And you said earlier, you know, I was just saying to my principal today, we gotta get the families involved. So my question to you would be, what would be one thing that you would see at your school to say, yes, it's working, they're involved? What pops into your head?
Positive feedback from the parents. That's the piece that I'm wondering about with this initiative that you put out here, that family piece. You know, we need to get that feedback from the parents saying, or the family saying, yeah, this is what I need. I needed that, you know.
Okay, so families would say, what you're giving me is helpful. It's what I need. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, got it. I love that one. Fantastic.
And I was actually going to add, and I know we're, you know, bumping up onto the next piece, but since the next piece is 9, that's okay. So we've talked about, Dr. Brim and I, for sure, with other people in the district, you know, maybe we've mentioned it to you that, you know, we don't want to over survey our families. And there are a couple of other surveys that happen regularly, but we've talked about having a family survey. I mean, not the Title I family survey, not the district advanced ed, you know, where the family engagement is a piece of it, but a family survey, very strategic, not too long, you know, different ways of contributing, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that for me, we're talking about things that lead to that. Again, back to, you know, we need this. We need to form a baseline survey, and then we can, you know, measure some of the key performance indicators by, you know, the change in the replies of that survey over time, whether we, you know, make it annually or, you know, whatever it is, or we target, you know, regions or whatever we do. But I think we need to have a survey, as Mr. Black.
Perfect setup for what will come from this as we're starting describing where we want to go, what it looks like at the end, what we believe that's important. And then we're going to back up. And I think certainly in the goals and objectives, we'll find that surveying parents will fit in there. We've got some other ideas. So we're off to a great start today. What you can look for from this is an updated document like the one Sheila shared with you in advance for your input and thoughts. And what Sheila's going to talk to you about as we finish here is when all this is going to happen. What happens next? Take it away, Ms. Kane.
Okay. I wanted to mention, so some of you are key leaders in our district. We included you in our first meeting, and then you continued, you know, you said, I don't want to appoint a designee. I want to continue to be a part of this work group. Some of the key leaders appointed a designee, and now, you know, this is who we have in the work group. What we've done between Kiosha, Dr. Brim, and Amy and I, we have been touching base with all those key leaders to give them an update that, you know, since they aren't participating in the work group, you know, this is what we've accomplished. This is where we were at the beginning. These were the things we wanted to work on, and this is how far we've come. And we've asked them for their continued support in just being supportive, you know, number one, and also continuing to allow the designee to be a part of the group. We originally said, at least for this school year, that we would have meetings through June, but the second Wednesday in June is actually the last day of school. So we're not going to do that. This will be our last meeting for this year. But we want to continue. We feel like this has been, I hope you do, we feel like this has been an incredible medium, way of collaboration, all the things that we've said at the beginning that we wanted to achieve, and breaking down silos, and we are doing it. We're moving forward, and we're seeing things happening in the district, you know, not directly related to this team, but maybe indirectly related in the way we all represent departments and things that are happening on a daily basis. So anyway, we hope to regroup. We will continue with our, as I gave you the reading recovery update, we'll continue that work for the rest of this school year over the summer, but we want to continue this work. And you can see that we have more of it to challenge us, and more of it for your input. And we hope that you will continue to want to be a part of it, and feel that it's an investment, you know, a good investment of an hour a month of your time. And that's what we got. 11:59. I still made it. Ron, you're muted.
Ron, you're on mute. You would think after 70,000 of these sessions, I would get that right. I really, I brag on you all the time as a district, by the way. I mentioned I was on with Dr. Mapp earlier, and I talked to her about what you're doing and how you are moving this conversation forward at the district level. I'll give you one last piece of information that really shows your forward thinking. We actually have some national standards for family engagement. They're very old, and the National PTA has realized they've got to be cleaned up. And so it's going to take them about 2 years to do it. But this initiative, what you're starting to do as you think through, will, I think, be one of the ones that will really help inform what will work, what should the standards be, what should they look like when you've operationalized them in a district, what's manageable, what's doable. And so I've been keeping Dr. Mapp and National PTA apprised of what you're doing, and they're watching with interest. So thank you so much for doing this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the fall. Dr. Brim, do you want to say any closing words before we go?
I just want to say, oh, I'm sorry. Let me just put back on my video. I want to say thank you very much. And I am excited about this work as a team, as we've been out in the community, talking to individual groups, that we want them connected. As we always talk about building something without the individuals we're building it for. So we are connected. We want you to know we're just not sitting around discussing. We're out building those focus groups to connect the information so that once things are completed, we have the voices of all. And so it is just very important that we continue to connect to our non-English speaking families, so they are just as engaged as our students and families.
I said I was done, but I wanted to acknowledge, Lucy, that's a fantastic suggestion in the chat box. And if things occur to you between now and the next time that we get together, send them Sheila's way, because we'll be putting all this, and those are exactly the kinds of things I think need to happen. And those are great ideas. So thank you for sharing. Everybody have a great rest of your week and enjoy your summer.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great summer. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm copying your, Lucy, I'm copying your text and sending it to myself.
I told her I downloaded on the chat so that I could capture her whole thought, because I wanted to make sure I got it all.
That's a really great example. Yeah, that's a really great example of some specifics on what you teach teachers to do. I love that. And how we help. It says empower new teachers. I'd also say, how about in-service teachers as well? So fantastic. Thank you. And Angela, you're always a fantastic participant. We love it.
You know, this might be a little off the wall, but it's kind of stuck in my head. You know how you, for a lack of better metaphor, now you go to the drive-through McDonald's for, you know, food, fast food in the evening, because you're rushing around to feed your kids and all that other stuff. Well, how difficult would it be to have, it makes me feel like a menu of services kind of sort is what we need, you know, like at each one of the schools, so that you can, you know, pull up a menu somehow. Even when you go to a restaurant, you have a menu. These are all your choices. These are all your options.
Well, Angela, I think what you're describing is when you go to that menu, it's clear, it's easy, transparent, exactly what I need, and then I get it pretty fast. So if I say I need or want, not that I would ever say I want a Big Mac, and then they say, is that a combo or whatever? So, and then I get it very quickly. Just think if we had that kind of support where families knew what they could get, they could ask for it, and we got it to them.
Right. And maybe then they're less intimidated, because I know, you know, if you're, you know, if you're not an educator,
go to your district, go to your building's website, and as a parent, and look around to see, can you find services? What can you find easily on the website? And I don't know how many schools you work at, but see if you were looking for something, how hard it is to find, or if you can find it at all. Because I'd be curious, I think some schools do that well, but most schools, it's so buried. It's so, I mean, I love, I'm gonna borrow your fast food metaphor because I think it's perfect.
Amy, you've talked about that, in terms of the Title I supported programs and services, in for schools, not for family.
Trying, right? That would be my ideal dream. And Angela, exactly what you're saying. Like our menu would be parent and family engagement opportunities, and how schools they struggle sometimes to even come up with meaningful events to even hold. And I think that kind of goes back to that two-way communication. If we're only offering our parents hamburgers and hot dogs and French fries, that's all they're going to ever choose, because that's all we're ever offering. But what are we asking them? Maybe they want Chick-fil-A. We don't know, so it's that two-way communication too, asking them what they want, to be able to provide that menu and keep it open-ended.
You just made me think, Amy, in my kids' school district back at home.
Made you think, I'm sorry.
Our science, our school's district science scores are off the charts for everybody. And they it's very project-based learning, but what they do that was interesting to me is, so bear with me, this all fits to your comment, that if I'm teaching a unit on sink and float, I've got the kit and it comes to me and then it goes to another school, but there are these kits that are put together. And you just said, what if families, schools don't always know what to do. I wonder, what if there was a sort of a basic set of kits that if you can't think of anything, here's a really, try these 6 things as a foundation, then do your own. But, if there was that district sort of, here's your October kit, your November kit, your December kit, and you can do that.
And I've been trying to do that, like even within our district, and it's hard. I have like a little SharePoint site, and I call it like like the leaderboard.
Right.
Like share your ideas, because what's working at your school could work somewhere else. All you have to do is refine it to meet the needs of your families. Because you're saying your science is off the chart. Well, how can we do that for math? How can we fine tune that for math?
But it's not because of what they did with parents. It's because they help the teachers be better instructors. If they could pull families into it, but it was just
the teachers should.
It was so easy because the kit came to them and someone had thought it through. What are the right ways to do this? So when you said some schools don't know what to do, if you had just like 2 or 3 kits that got them started.
They literally, and this is, I think I've said this before, going through some of our meetings during the year, and we said, okay, what have you been doing for parent family engagement? They're like, well, because of COVID, we haven't. Like, no, you had, at first, and then you make them think, and then they realize, oh no, we have been, it just looks a little different this year. So just, again, building the capacity of our school leaders to understand what that really looks like too.
Yep. And Kiosha, thank you for letting me call you out. I didn't want to call out the other folks directly. I wanted them to see, I'm going to call, so start thinking so other people talk. So thank you for being.
No, that is fine. So I was having an unstable connection with my internet as well, so I apologize. But
no problem.
Off of what Amy just mentioned about the comparison of the McDonald's versus kind of a Chick-fil-A thing, I think I like the idea of having a menu, but we also have to understand that we have to make sure that it's equitable. Because some of the schools that, they may have different needs. So some of the topics to tackle that we see at Fairmount Park are going to look totally different from what we may see at Lake St. George. And I think sometimes that's what causes a lot of the issues with our schools creating events for families based off of what their needs are. I even see it with the schools that my girls go to. They're in the fundamental setting. However, what my needs are as a parent and what I'm hoping that they could feed into me may be different from what another parent's needs are. So I do feel that. I know sometimes the surveys can be a bit much, but I think we need that data to know how to, proceed and navigate with planning future webinars and parent nights and things of that sort.
Fantastic.
And I took Amy's position and looked at it differently. I said, there's a partnership with McDonald's that when they do come, their customers do come through the line, then we give them a card with reminding them of the menus. So it's still building that partnership beyond the parameters of our own schools, but really deep in our communities where we are partnering with businesses to say, I need you to advocate on behalf of what we want our parents to know and have. And
What's interesting is you guys are using the fast food metaphor. I'm really thinking, I love it because it's clear, you get what you want, and they all come back. And if we had a thing that we were able to give them what they want and they kept coming back for more and more, hopefully it's a little more nutritious than, although it is tasty, that's really what we want. We want them to come back saying, come back next week and come back next week and look and use the resources. That's the perfect thing because families, it's just so easy to do. And it's painless and they do it. So we've got to figure that out.
Even like back to our fast food idea, it's like providing, as things change and now people they want healthier options and they speak to their customers. Like they want more than just a hamburger. Oh, we have salads now too, so that everyone can eat. And so, and by the way, my daughter worked at Wendy's and they use fresh eggs out every day.
Oh. Just a little aside. Like
that was, like I was so amazed. She's like, Mom, they really use fresh eggs. They crack them right there on the griddle. I'm like, I never knew that. They don't advertise that enough.
Right. Well, it's like Culver's. They say made fresh for you. But Amy, I'm gonna give you credit, but I'm gonna borrow the McDonald's thing because I think that's really a good way to think about this because they've got it worked out. People keep coming back and coming back, and so if we feed them the right stuff, they'll come back and they'll go do it.
They keep the oldies, but I think that was what Kirsha was kind of getting to too. It's like it's not a one size fits all, but we can provide the staples and then, hey, there's also this for you over here.
So actually that is also like McDonald's. So one of the things when you go around the world and you go to McDonald's and other countries.
Making me hungry.
You take
oh, I know. Salty. Happy meals for all.
Yeah, I mean, they changed the recipe of ketchup. Ketchup in Russia is disgusting, but they love it. It's got their flavors. It's like, I wanted Heinz ketchup, but they do exactly what Kirsha said. They make it for same process, but what you get is what you need and want, not what.
And I taught science, Ron. It's never disgusting. It's, ooh, that's different.
Yeah. So it's like, I want my Heinz ketchup.
But that's true because depending on where you go, the menu items are different.
They do. They all have general things that have specific. We went to. Right. We always go to McDonald's when we go to other countries just to see what is
different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like your baseline data on travel, like how does the McDonald's? Where does this McDonald's rank?
We went to Krispy Kreme donuts in Tokyo. They have barbecue donuts. They have it's like the most interesting. It's like, we tried them, but it's like, but it's adapted to what folks want and need. And so Kirsha, you are spot on. So anyway, you guys have inspired me. I feel like I learned something today from you guys. I really appreciate it.
It was good. Another good meeting.
Fantastic. I've got my notes. I'll fill it out, Sheila. I'll put my things into that document and send it to you, and then we can put some more and start that process.
I think even though we ended our meeting, I think we should create something where there can be ongoing dialogue throughout the summer, although we're not meeting.
Right.
Working or doing something with families and get this brain, like a epiphany about something, they have a place to say, you know what, I was here and I think we should add this to our work. And so as you send something out, it'll be nice to have a share when you need to kind of link. So
Sheila, I like that we have like our little SharePoint button topics and we, something we have a moment of, this should go on the here or there.
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. Like a little parking lot.
Fantastic. Oh, you guys are fun. I love it. And I really have been bragging on you a lot that what you're doing at the district. These are really good conversations and you've got other people involved. And what really made me happy today is the capacity one, nobody's pushing back against those. In fact, they're offering, it's like, wow, what they're offering is exactly right.
So Ron, I want to share with you because I had my meeting with Kevin Hendricks, the Associate Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Mhm.
And he thinks the work is so powerful that he is actually in his budget, putting money in, setting it aside for us to do the work we're doing. Isn't that
Wow.
amazing? That's,
Look
that
what you've done,
that
Dr.
was just the
Brim.
highlight of my day.
That's like a mic drop, Dr. Brim.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So
That's
it was,
impressive.
it was so rich.
I mean, without even asking, right? He just, you know, she called
Yeah.
to update him as a key leader. And he said, by the way,
Well, what's so important is, and I think the reason why is because you have made very sure to tie this to learning. And there is nobody who can say, this isn't what we're about. And when the light goes off for them, it's like, oh, families are gonna help us with the learning and the stuff we want. They are much more likely to get in line. And without people like him, if those instructional folks don't get in this, you're not gonna have success. And that's a
Exactly.
fantastic start. Look at
Yeah.
you. God, you're all making me, I can't wait to tell. I'm telling Dr. Map tomorrow. I'm telling her what we did.
We're like PFE nerds. We're like, oh, we're getting so
What?
excited. We're like PFE nerds.
family engagement. Okay, got it.
Thank you everybody so much. Sheila, I'll get those to you probably by Monday. That's okay. And then we'll go from there.
Certainly. All right.
Thank you.
guys. Thanks,
Bye.
Ron.
Guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.